My name is David Serpa. I'm an author. I'm a Marine Corps combat veteran. I'm a business owner. I'm a father, and I'm a revolutionary. I'm fundamentally different than every other candidate that is in this race. And I think that what we want right now is we want something different. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. We want representation, real representation. We want somebody who's not just going to prioritize America first, but who's going to prioritize California first. How do I properly represent the 40 million Californians that are here and their $1.12 trillion of tax revenue that is generated in the state of California? But it's not about me. It's about you. If we all go home here tonight and we don't put in the work, we don't preserve our republic. Am I right, Kirk? Yeah. Am I right, John Paul White?
Yes, sir.
It's about the people. It's always been about the people. And the people here in California, we're pioneers. But we can't go any further west than this. So what is my plan? I'll keep it very plain and simple. If you take nothing home other than this, understand that I am California first. I will stand up for Californians first. I will stand up for California first, and I will not simp for America. I stand for the Republic. For too long, we've had people running for office that are standing up for America to us, that are standing up for the politicians to us instead of standing up for us to the politicians. Tonight, we're going to talk about three things. We're going to talk about the problem. Now, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about the problem, but if you're not offering solutions, you're just complaining. And right now, I see a lot of complaining in the California's governor's race, a lot of reporting about the problems, and not a lot of direction about where we're going to go. So we're going to talk about the plan, and then we're going to talk about the contract with California very briefly. Trigger warning. Gird up thy loins. This is a challenge. This is not entertainment. What is the problem? The problem is this false version of America that we have been being sold. America is a country that is built on tax rebellion. Am I right? America is a country that is built on the decentralization of government. Am I right? We are a republic, and in fact, we pledge allegiance to the republic for which it stands, and it is time that we restore the republic here in America and that we check the empire, because that is what we have become. And they got us, not by selling us the red, white, and blue, but by selling us bastardized versions of the red, white, and blue. We've been sold this narrative of Republican and Democrat, even though our forefathers didn't have Republicans and Democrats. But they've got us playing culture war. They've got us being consumer patriots and sunshine patriots. And it's time that we stop. Who wins the culture war? We lose. The corporations win in the culture war. The American Eagle jeans, the Pride arrangement at Target. We've got both Republicans pride buying American Eagle and Democrats pride buying Target, and BlackRock owns both. It is time that we check the Sunshine Patriots with their cosplay of leadership, which I find to be laughable. Are we ready to settle for second place here in California again? When Californians are struggling, we have been abandoned, and it is time that we act. I am tired of a party of principled losers, and I am tired of the Democratic Party of failed leadership. Democrats have had the wheel, and they failed us. Republicans gave no viable alternatives, but no one is coming to save us. We have to do it. For the first time in American history, a whole generation of people are not doing as well as their parents, and they're choosing not to have kids. We have to do better. The gerontocracy and the plutocrats have led us astray. Being governed by the rich and the old hasn't done anything for us. It is time for new principled leaders to bring new thinking to California. It is time for hard truths instead of loving lies. And I can tell you a hard truth right now. America is insolvent. America is bankrupt. America is tribal, which makes it very difficult to see solutions and to see our way out of this problem and not see our way into the next revolution. And America is propping up the dollar with the Federal Reserve, the IRS, and a failed federal government that is $37 trillion in debt. If we do not get California in check, no one will be in a position to get America in check. The Republic, the thing that we pledge allegiance to, it says a California Republic on our flag. It's supposed to be 50 individual experiments standing up together as America, not one country with an overarching federal government that is taking away the right to get by, the right to have a family, the right to educate our children, the right to eat clean food, the right to have affordable energy, the right to have clean drinking water, the right to have health care, to treat our illness without going bankrupt. It is time that we restore the republic and that we check the empire. And I say this as a patriot, as a combat veteran, as somebody who carried a machine gun across my chest for this country and 800 rounds of ammunition. I say this out of a deep form of love for my country, not out of hatred. We are falling. But there's an opportunity for us to be intentional instead of being reactionary, to see the end for an opportunity to create a new beginning. But there's a revolution coming. Make no bones about it. There is a revolution coming. And we get to choose whether we are going to have one of three different revolutions. An American revolution, a revolutionary removal of the oligarchs through violent actions enforced by war. A French revolution, a revolutionary judgment of the oligarchs through violent actions enforced by law, or an intellectual revolution, a revolutionary rejection of the oligarchs through ideas, through legislation, and through action. I don't know about you, but I would prefer an intellectual revolution instead of seeing violence in American streets. But every time that we see a new cry for something better, we don't hear it. We saw the Tea Party Patriots. And what were they upset about? An overarching federal government, a government that is entangled with the rest of the world, that needs to prioritize our problems. And were they wrong? Has that problem gotten worse or has it gotten better? It's gotten worse. Look at Occupy Wall Street. And what did Republicans say about Occupy Wall Street? Oh, get a bath, you dirty hippies. Go back to school. Get a trade. But what were they complaining about? They were complaining about student loan debt, unaffordable housing. And has that problem gotten worse? MAGA. We want to make America great again. We want to stop these wars. We want to make America healthy again. And now we've got these No Kings protests. They want to get America from being involved with the rest of the world. Some of that's the same stuff that the Tea Party Patriots wanted. But because they're Democrats, we don't want to hear them out. And now we've got Groypers online, a form of American nationalism, of white nationalism. And people are perpetually looking at these groups, removing their revolutionary aspects and what they are complaining about, discrediting them, not hearing their frustrations, and the problems get worse. But I can tell you that I've talked to white nationalists and I've talked to black nationalists. They're both economic nationalists. I'm done discounting people for their pain, for their frustrations, because they haven't been able to hear solutions. And that's what we're going to do. We are done focusing on the culture war. It is time to focus on good governance. Because a rising tide lifts all boats. Does anyone remember who said that? John F. Kennedy. When we get revolutionary leaders that talk about not representing Republicans, not representing Democrats, but representing the people, they're taken away from us. Because we are a conquered people. And I went and I spoke to several high schools over the course of the last election cycle. and I ask them about conquering a people. And I tell them, you divide them, you conquer them, you colonize them, and you demoralize them. And how do you run a people? You take control of their media, you take control of their education, their food and water, their health care, their natural resources and energy, their military, their church, their home and business ownership, and you morally and financially bankrupt them. Who does that sound like if it does not sound like us? This is government enforced scarcity. And instead of capitalizing on scarcity, we should start banking on abundance in water, in food, in education, in healthcare, in housing. If you know that we are under attack, how will you respond? And for far too often, the answer has been violence. When I tell people that I'm running for governor, they tell us that we are beyond voting. That scares me. Because beyond voting means that either it doesn't count and you don't believe that your vote counts, or that you believe that violence is the only way forward. I refuse to co-sign, but unfortunately, the approval of violence is skyrocketing. 48% of people approved of the healthcare assassination, Luigi Mangione. 54% of people approved of the 3rd precinct being burned to the ground after the George Floyd riots. And this latest assassination has been hidden by the media. You have to start worrying when you only need 3% for a violent revolution, but over 50% are approving of violence. So what does that make us? Well, it makes us peasants in the 4th largest economy in the world. It makes us capitalists without capital and without assets. My friends, we are not free. If freedom is financial freedom, are you free? Is the next generation free? It's reaching a breaking point. And I'm going to ask you something, and I want an answer. Are you leaving a better state, a better country, and a better world to your children than the ones that you inherited? No. Thank you. Then this is the breaking point. We have to be intentional. Because what I see is a rising of the proletariat. And for those of you familiar with different theologies throughout the world, that's a sentence that scares a lot of conservatives. During industrial revolutions, we often see class consciousness and eventually rebellion against the oligarchs. Now, who talks about oligarchs? Who? Bernie Sanders is talking about oligarchs. Who else is talking about oligarchs? AOC, thank you. Who else? Give me one more person. Zoran. What about Steve Bannon? Steve Bannon understands that the populist left and the populist right have more in common with one another than we do with our masters, with the oligarchs. The old way is dying. So what is our plan? Enough complaining. We're going through a death cycle here in America. It gives us an opportunity here in California to be intentional to bring about the new golden age. The gifts are in the shift, but it's time to properly honor the death cycle. They're not playing 4D chess. They're building a political debt cage and debt systems. Well, corruption requires disruption. There's corruption in the gerrymandering in California and in Texas. But this is nothing new, am I right? We're tired of the gerrymandering. We're tired of them taking away our opportunities in the jungle primary. And we're tired of our politics being purchased by big money. We're tired of the gatekeepers and of the financial corruption. But we have to understand that there are 3 different types of debt. There's national debt, $37 trillion, allowed to carry debt. There's state debt, which is not allowed. The state has to balance their budget every fiscal year in October. And then there's personal debt, which is false debt. Now, who owns our debt? Who is owned by the debt? And what does that make us? We no longer own our homes. We no longer own our businesses or the land that they sit on. So my argument is that in the richest state, in the richest country on earth, we are peasants, we are wage slaves, we are Russian serfs, and we are sharecroppers. And I am tired of it. I don't know about you. If they're building political cages and debt systems, then systemic injustice requires a systemic response. Here tonight, we are the response. It's time to drain the whole swamp. It's time to enforce term limits by voting people out that have been in office for more than 12 years, 20 years, 30 years. And it is time to primary everyone, regardless of what these districts shake out to look like. Our founding fathers did not have parties. It is time that we primary Pelosi with a Democrat. And I'm going to make some of you nervous in here, but it's time that we primary Calvert with the Republican. You cannot drain half a swamp. We can't talk about Pelosi and not talk about Graham and not talk about McConnell and not talk about Calvert. So it's time that we contest the Federal Reserve Bank, that we defund the IRS, that we defund these failed federal programs, that we stop funding the federal government, stop funding the rest of the world, stop funding states who don't like us very much. We force a return to the Republic and a return to states' rights. There needs to be a red wedding. We need to primary everyone and work with who is standing in January of 2027. Now, when I mean everyone, I mean everyone. Our good representation has nothing to worry about because we like them. Our poor representation better start showing up in the district and doing town halls and doing debates because we, the people, are tired. If we're going to start a new business, we have to do it with new people, with new thinkers, because we cannot solve a problem with the same level of thinking that created it. And yes, I mean everyone. So California 2.0. For too long, we have been shifting left, we have been shifting right, but we need a function restart. That's a tech joke for those of you that are tech people. We're rich. That's the first thing that I'm going to explain to you here in California. We are rich. When you hear things about $21 billion in debt or $78 billion in debt, it sounds a whole lot better than $37 trillion in debt. Am I right? If we manage our money properly, we will see that we are rich. But America needs to balance her books because America is bankrupt. And who better to help America with their bankruptcy? Do you know how many times that President Trump declared bankruptcy? 6 times. And I don't say that with any hatred in my heart. That's part of business in America, is realizing when you have financial debt and financial ties that are no longer serving you, that are holding you back from moving forward. Trump is now worth $5 billion. America needs to follow that plan. But in California, we need to run government like a business because we are poorly run. We need new employees, we need new representatives, and we need to fire our old government because you can't run a new business with old thinking. We need new public servants. We need to flip as many seats as possible in 2026 with California First candidates. Focus on states' rights, the 50 individual experiments that this country is supposed to be, because the answer to corruption is disruption. It's time for us to disentangle with the Fed and strengthen our republic. Attack taxes and the debt cage system. And one of the first things that we need to do is we need to look at the 16th Amendment, which was passed in 1913, which gave the federal government the ability to tax our income, to form the Federal Reserve Bank, which is not federal, it's not a reserve, and it's not a bank, and also fund the IRS as a debt collection service to come after we, the people. Now, I don't know about you, but this country was founded on debt rebellion, and that doesn't sound like the right idea to me. I believe that it's time that we end federal taxes. We have $806 billion that are leaving California annually. Why pay federal, state, and local taxes when you're paying 3 times for what you're not getting once? California contributes 15.8% of all revenue to the federal government. We're responsible for 15.8% of their budget. 30 states out of our 50 states are welfare states. They pay taxes, but they get more for the federal government than they spend. There are 19 states that are donor states, and we are at the top of that. The rest of America does not need to look like California. That's the purpose of a republic. It's time that we end capital gains tax. If you want to free up some real estate, in capital gains tax. Give people an opportunity to downsize. Give people an opportunity to sell real estate that's been in the family. $246 billion gets siphoned from Californians every year, which accounts for about 1% of the total GDP. In the death tax. You're not even allowed to die in America. California does not charge a death tax. The federal government charges between 18 and 40%. Why is America taxing us to die? Has anybody heard of the salt tax? We should massively expand the salt tax to everyone, and it makes it so that any taxes that you're paying to the state and local government, you don't have to pay to the federal government. I'm all about that. One of the fastest ways to defund the federal government would be through a massive salt tax deduction for all California taxpayers. And how do we reduce mortgage payments and rent payments? Because that's one of the biggest things that we're looking at. Because we pay 1/3 of our mortgage payment actually goes to our principal, right? 1/3 goes to interest, and it's the first third. And then about 1/3 goes to taxes and insurance. I don't know about you, but that's only about 1/3 going where it should be going. Plus the cost of insurance if you could even get it. So if freedom is economic freedom, once again, are we free? Then we better do something about it. I believe that we need to cap property taxes at 5 years on a primary residence. No one should pay 2% of their home value annually, indefinitely to the government. That's 60% in 30 years. That's 100% in 50 years. Why should you pay an equal amount to your principal as you are paying to the federal government, to the state government, or to the local government? So if you have an $800,000 home and a 2% tax rate, you annually pay about $16,000 or $1,333 a month in taxes. Are we free?
No.
Why are we a country that is built on interest? This is something that I am theologically opposed to. We need to immediately end interest on taxes, back taxes, debt, and student loans. We need to eventually end interest payments on auto, credit, and housing. And any debt where the debtor has paid more than the original debt should be considered immediately paid in full. So why am I theologically opposed to interest? Well, because, and I'm not going to go into a lot of religious theology often, but there's a common denominator that is worth mentioning. Christianity sees interest as usury, and any form of interest charged to fellow Israelites was prohibited. Islam sees interest as riba and prohibits any form of interest in Sharia law. Judaism prohibits charging interest between Jewish people, and it is prohibited in the halakha, the Jewish law, which I might be saying that word wrong, I apologize. But all Abrahamic faiths see interest as exploitive and unjust. And I think that there's a reason for us to look at that as Californians when 3 of our largest faiths all have the same opinion about interest. Taking Christianity specifically, you shall not exact interest, Exodus 22:25. Deuteronomy 23:19, you shall not charge interest on loans. Psalms 15:5, a bribe against the innocent. Leviticus 25:35, you shall not lend him your money at interest. Proverbs 22:7, the rich rules over the poor, the borrower is the slave of the lender. So we need to take a serious look at interest, and we need to take a serious look at taxes in our housing, our auto, our credit cards, our student loans, our medical debt, especially when 652,000 people are declaring bankruptcy every year in America, which is the #1 cause of debt, of bankruptcy in America. America doesn't believe in home ownership. We believe in home loans. We believe in debt. We believe in taxes. Case in point, what's paid off first? The interest. What's never paid off? Taxes. Insurance we'll talk about later. We'll have fun there. We already talked about it at the end of the room, at the back of the room, didn't we? So California to the federal government, $806 billion annually. Family, that's a problem. Texas pays $417 billion annually. And New York in third place pays $384 billion annually. We have to be done funding failure. Our own budget is only $324 billion a year, not $321 billion, $324 billion, which equals $1.127 trillion. Could you imagine if we stopped sending 70% of our tax revenue outside of the state of California? Do you believe me yet that we are rich?
Yes.
But we're not acting like it. We're not holding our government responsible like we are rich. Why should California only get 28% of our tax revenue while America gets 72% of every single tax dollar that you pay? 30 states are recipient states. They don't need to look like California. They don't really like us very much anyway. Am I right? I've heard the way that they've been talking about California. I know how they treat Californians when they move there. It's time that we turn off the money hose. I don't want to fund states that don't like us very much. In fact, I don't want to fund any of these other states. We pay federal, state, and local taxes. We pay 3 times for what we don't get once. What do we get from the federal government? Anybody? Bills. What do we get from the federal government? Anybody? Nothing. We get pork by our congressmen that is our money brought back to us to funnel it and run money laundering schemes to NGOs. It's time that we kick the IRS out of the state of California, am I right?
Yes.
It's time that we remove all federal programs and their authority from operating in the state of California. And in order to do this, we have to protect our data from the federal government and from the IRS. $806 billion annually. $806 billion annually. To end homelessness, and these are liberal numbers, these are progressive numbers, and I don't say that to make anyone uncomfortable. I say that because these are numbers provided by Democrats. $8 billion, that's what they tell us that it would take to end homelessness annually. $100 billion in total. We already saw them piss away $24 billion, but I don't like money laundering, and we're going to put an end to that. For us to cover universal health care, which, by the way, every single bill in California, we cover 73% of all healthcare expenses already. But to have universal healthcare in California, it would be $350 billion annually. To pay off all student debt for the next generation would be $150 billion total. I'd rather do that than fund the federal government. I'd rather pay every Californian $20,150 annually or $1,679 a month instead of funding the federal government. I'm tired of funding failure. We're rich. Change the narrative. America is $37 trillion in debt. That's $107,613 for every single person here, including those little babies inside playing. Is that okay with you? Is it? Because I only heard one. Are you a millennial?
I'm a younger millennial, yes.
You're a younger millennial. I'm an elder millennial. I'm asking you, because I know that there's a lot of the boomer generation here. Is it okay to leave $100,000 in debt to the next generation? It's not. And you're all being squeezed too. We have been sold a lie, and it's time that we make good on some of the promises that this country stood for. So it's time for some tough love. It's time to force America to balance her books. If your husband has a credit card spending problem, you take away his credit card. If your wife has a problem with the checkbook, take away the checkbook, right? Kate, who does the spending in our family?
Mostly me.
Who balances the budget in our family? My lovely wife. Guys, we have to run our government family the same way that we run our household family. There are some things that people are great at and some things that people suck at. And unfortunately, all the people that suck are running government right now. So what is the governor's job, ultimately, at the end of the day? The governor's job is to represent the 40 million Californians that live here. Not everybody else. Not everybody else. The 40 million Californians that live here. It's time that we focus on California first. And that's California 2.0. Everything needs to be upgraded, right, Chip? We cannot solve problems at the same level of thinking which created the problems. We need new thinking. We need new thinkers. It's time for California to get an upgrade. It's time for California 2.0. The new founders. It is time for a new founders movement. Am I right, Romo?
Yes, sir.
E pluribus unum, from many one. And yet we continue to divide ourselves. We're doing the same thing that the Democrats are doing. We no longer just have Republicans meeting in a room. We have Republican women, Republican veterans, Hispanic Republicans, Black Republicans, all the different shades and colors and ideologies of Republicans when we used to have a big tent Reagan Republican Party that stood for all of us. E pluribus unum, for many one. Do I even need you to be a Republican? I don't need you to be a Republican. We're going to need some Democrats, guys. 48% of California's Democrats, 24% is Republicans. We do not need to be speaking in our echo chambers. We need to be expanding the rooms that we speak in. Disputatio, will you debate? Yes, I'll debate. I know a lot of people here that love to debate. If you're not willing to debate, go get a different job. And libertas, liberty. Freedom not just from government, but freedom to government. Government actually working. We're heading into a new golden age, family. I believe it. Do you believe it? We're heading into a time in America where we have an opportunity for things to be better than they ever have been before. And what is a golden age? It's peace and prosperity. It's cultural flourishing. It's peak achievement from humanity. It's nostalgia for the past and idealization, looking forward to the future and hope. But before the golden age was Reconstruction, was Civil War. Before thriving comes pain. I believe that we're heading into a new Renaissance. Do you agree with me? I believe that in a Renaissance, it's all about human potential. It's all about the best use of our time as humanity. It's about achievement, artistry, architecture, and science. It's about exploration and discovery, building beautiful things and looking up at the stars. Powerful cities, powerful states, and decentralization of government. Before the Renaissance was the Middle Ages, was feudalism. We have to be intentional. And then finally, we're heading into a fourth industrial revolution. If you can't see the writing on the walls with artificial intelligence and technology and machine learning, stand by. The first industrial revolution was steam. It changed everything. Then electricity, then computing and the internet, then artificial intelligence. We have to understand that there will be massive technological advancements taking place in the next 5 years. But there will also be massive layoffs and wealth disparity, like with any industrial revolution. So we have to be intentional. This is going to be a massive leap forward for humanity, but there is a risk of people getting left behind. I believe in California, we have a new opportunity because of our health, our wealth, our resources, because of the Golden State and what we've always been, to define a future where we get to decide what the highest and best use of our day is, and that's not our children working 2 jobs while they can't afford to have children. Now I'm warning you, with industrial revolutions, with these shifts, there are gifts, but we have to be intentional with these things. There's a great book, a trilogy called The Age of Madness. And in the first trilogy, called the First Law trilogy, he talked about breakers and burners. When we refuse, this is Joe Abercrombie, great author. When we refuse to grow with positive intentions, growth breaks society with negative reactions. And in this industrial revolution, while society is building, there are people who are breakers, who break the machines because they feel like they're being left behind because they want to build something better. But there are also burners, people who want to burn it to the ground because they see nothing worth saving. Right now we have breakers in this country and we have burners in this country. So if we're going to run this state like a government, or this government like a business, we need to understand that in business it's adapt or die. Good businesses understand that if you are green, you are growing. A good business is constantly changing and adapting and living with the death cycle and with the birth cycle. So what are we fighting? And who are we fighting for? Well, we have a republic. And in a republic, which we pledge allegiance to. It says California Republic on our flag. It is a state which supreme power is held by the people and their elected representatives, and which has an elected or nominated president rather than, I don't know what the next thing was going to be there, but rather than whatever else it was going to be. And then nationalism. A lot of people hear nationalism and they hear of a bad thing. They hear scary things. What it is an identification with one's own nation and support for its interest, especially to the exclusion and detriment of the interest of other nations. I don't buy that last part. I don't care about other countries. I don't. The best thing that we could do for other countries is get out of their business. The best thing that we could do for South America is get the CIA out of South America. The best thing that we could do for other countries is stop financially bankrupting them. Because when we deny other countries their sovereignty, we can't be surprised when our sovereignty is denied to us here at home. I want Californians to thrive because I'm not just America first, I'm California first. So what is an oligarchy? It is a small group of people having control of a country, organization, or institution. Would you say that we have an oligarchy? Yes. So what is independence? Would you consider America independent? No. Would you consider California dependent? Or would you consider California independent? Who did we declare independence from? Now, a lot of destructive people are also very creative people. And what I have that gives me a lot of hope about the next generation is that they have grown up on Minecraft and on Roblox. They have experience building their little kingdoms. They have experience making water flow and energy and some of the things that these kids create in Minecraft and some of these things that they do in Roblox. It's incredible. It's beautiful. We have the same power here. We're kingdom builders. The kingdom of heaven is where? At hand. We get an opportunity to build the kingdom of heaven. We get the opportunity to move mountains and move rivers and to put the earth to work for us. But we have to be unapologetically California first. I don't dance for endorsements. I'm not going to dance for President Trump. I'm not going to dance for Governor Newsom. I'm not going to dance for anybody. There's one entity that I'm dancing for, and that is my Father. California and Californians are our priority here. Look at that. That's our beautiful flag. California Republic. California, running government like a business. Now, I have an opponent that a lot of you are currently supporting. Not a lot of you, some of you are currently supporting. And he said something recently in an interview about running government like a business. He said, a lot of people are saying we just need the head of a business to be in government. Well, I'm going to tell you that is an absolute failure. It's a recipe for disaster because private business and government are completely different. In private business, we need private business leaders, and we need those business savvy people to make those businesses work and everything else. But if you have an environment that's not working, you scrap it and you fix it. If half of your employees aren't doing their job, you fire them and hire other employees to do the job. That's not how government works. He's absolutely right. That's not how government works. That is how businesses work. And when you have half of your employees not doing their job, you effing fire them. You get rid of them. That's what businesses do. When you have something that is not working, you scrap it and you fix it. You don't keep throwing money at it. Am I right? Yes. He also happened to endorse the head of several businesses, President Trump. It's kind of a joke. We need to run government like a business. That's the way that it works best. A team, an organization, whatever. And the strength of California is in our size, but it's also our weakness. What is the purpose of government? To serve people. So let's talk about that for a minute. It's not what your country can do for you. It's what you
can do for your country.
Thank you. Let's bring back volunteerism. What do you think? We have 2,700 churches in the state of California. Is there a reason why those churches aren't creating a network in every school district in California and providing free childcare? We can do it. We can strengthen volunteerism, and one of the vehicles that we can do that through is through the church. We could focus on adoption. We could focus on childcare, on homelessness and hunger, on drug rehabilitation, mental health, and human trafficking. We do not have to wait for government's permission for the church, i.e. the people, to take care of one another. In addition, a vehicle for volunteerism is the California State Guard. I asked someone to run for Attorney General. She said no, but she runs an organization called the Veterans Legal Institute. And they get lawyers that are willing to represent a certain amount of cases for veterans every month. And I think that that's a great way of doing things. Some of us have time. We have an ability to give back. We can coach a team. We can help out medically. There are things that we can do. People want to give back. And in fact, there are 1.8 million veterans in the state of California who still want to serve. They still want to serve. You are not broken, my brothers and sisters. Even if you are disabled, you are not broken. You are valuable to the kingdom. There are 6 million seniors. There's 6 million seniors that can be utilized to help California be the absolute best that it can be, but we have to give people an opportunity to serve and not just use nonprofits and NGOs as a way to pacify the people, remove their radicalism, and remove them from serving their fellow man. And if you're building a business, you get sweat equity. The work that you can do for free. And I'm looking at that, that's volunteerism. That's the church. These are people that can get involved now, but we also need capital and we need to broaden our network. One of the ways that we can do that is by California introducing its own cryptocurrency, backed by the 4th largest economy in the world. Give the world an opportunity to invest in the redemption and in the rise of the Golden State. Test the dollar. Test the dollar. Digital currency is the future. Cryptocurrency is the future. I don't want to destroy the dollar. I want them to be fiscally responsible. And one of the best ways that you can force fiscal responsibility is by introducing competition. Now, investments yield dividends, am I right? Here are some things that yield dividends. California state parks. Did you know that we spend $1 billion a year on our California state parks? Did you know that? Some of the most beautiful state parks in the world, am I right? Do you know how much we make? $7 billion. $7 billion annually from our state parks. Don't we want the world to come see California? Shouldn't we open up more of California for business? Our natural resources. Why are the oil companies getting rich while we're being drained at the pump? I don't know. I can't think of a single good reason. We have 600 oil and gas permits on 2,000 acres of BLM land that already belongs to the public. Let's have a public oil and gas company. Film and television, bring them back. One of the best ways that we can bring them back is taking on the studios. Am I right, my brother? In the back, my film and television brother. Manufacturing. We need to bring back manufacturing. In fact, California leads the world in it, and a lot of that's going to be done by artificial intelligence. But in order for us to keep our supply chains open, we need to invest in manufacturing. Technology, invest in real estate, invest in aerospace and in energy. And one of the ways that we could give people an opportunity to do that is through notes. Notes typically pay back for something that actually happens, a real investment in something. And then once it is sold, you make back your money in about 9 months off of the note. And if we're going to do that, we'll talk about that more later. But having people buy in and invest into California through cryptocurrency backed by real estate notes. And for those of you who the notes went over your head, cryptocurrency went over your head, that's okay. It's okay. I don't want to beg the federal government for development dollars when we could have investment in California. The Golden State dividend. Alaska pays an oil dividend to its people. They don't pay state income taxes. Saudi Arabia pays an oil dividend to its people. Norway pays dividends to their people. The native tribes pay dividends based on casino revenue. That's what I want to do with California. I don't want to soak you for additional tax revenue when we're already rich. I want to make sure that we are acting accordingly. I want to have a Golden State School Choice voucher. Our children should not be held captive to a failing school. Their parents should be allowed to decide where they want to send their children to school, where they want to spend those dollars, whether it is in private, in public, in charter or in homeschool. I want a Golden State child care voucher. For the first time ever, our children are not able to afford to have children of their own. So I would love for the church and volunteerism to step in, but if they're not going to do that, and even if they are, we need to have a child care voucher so that people can get to work, they can live their lives, and having children is not a decision to be financially devastated. We need to protect Californians' information. Data is the new gold. When our data is being sold, it shouldn't be free. We need to prevent companies and governments from harvesting California's data without compensation or at all, making us datapreneurs. Californians should be allowed to opt in to share their data for potential compensation, additional assistance with public safety if there's an Amber Alert or something like that where we need to get the public involved, and data and privacy must be protected again. Now, this is the way that we bring about the future. And there's a lot of money to be made in building the future. This campaign is an investment in a better future, and I know the people building the future now. I want Californians to own that future. I want to build beautiful things again, and I want us to be the shining city on a hill. In order for that to happen, it's going to require massive disruption. Artificial intelligence are going to put millions of people out of work across several industries. AI is an improvement in many ways, in surgery, delivery, fast food, shipping, marketing, even in law. Government should lead in utilizing artificial intelligence, artificial general intelligence, machine learning and tech to cut down on redundancy in government, cut down on waste in government, and lead the way in tech, because what is the highest and best use of our time here? In order to do all this, we need to make sure that no Californians are being left behind. People are our most valuable resource on planet Earth. It's time that we act like it. California's strength is in our independence and the things that we're all already able to do. But we saw during COVID, a lot of those supply chains shut down. We want to make sure that we are getting back to it. Our trade, our people, our future are our strength. AI, AGI, ML, getting government on a blockchain, getting government on an app. It should cost 80 cents to register your vehicle, not $800, especially in the technology state where government and technology is obsolete. Most government officials and entities would be put out of business in today's private sector. So it's time that we run government like a business. We create revenue because we don't make anything here anymore. It's time that we stop with the failed subsidies to Elon Musk, the oil industry, uranium, wind and solar. Are you out of here? Okay, because I'm sweating so much like a pig. Thank you. Where is our money going? It's time that we review our ROI. Now, I'm gonna start going kind of fast here, guys, because I'm gonna cover some real estate plans that everybody might not be interested in. We need to bring back film and entertainment. We need to understand that California should be an energy exporter. We should sell water and energy to Utah, Nevada, Arizona, and pretty soon Texas, because God knows that energy grid's gonna fail. We need to focus on California oil. We need to build a nuclear future, extract white gold from the ground and lithium, and not sell it to Berkshire Hathaway and Warren Buffett. We need to focus on California uranium and understand that energy is an abundant resource, but they have been capitalizing on it. And the California water heist, Nestle, the Resnick family, and the fact that we should never have to ration water or be in a drought ever again when 5 trillion gallons spills into the Pacific every year. We need to have proper water management. And of course, I'm gonna make these slides available for everybody because I know that I'm going fast. But 80% of rainfall is lost in the Pacific Ocean. Focus on desalination. You know, Saudi Arabia produces the equivalent of the American River every day. We have the best soil in the world. Why are we not feeding the world? It's by design. Water is an abundant resource. Agriculture has been under attack. Ukraine is the breadbasket of Europe. Punjab is the breadbasket of India. Iran is the breadbasket of the Middle East. California is the breadbasket of America. Are you beginning to see a pattern? They want control of our food. So we need to remove foreign ownership from California farmland. We need to strengthen the USDA loan to bring more small to mid-level farms, and we need to return to our localities, our local economy, and to feed Californians in the world. Mental health has been under attack. And in fact, the Sonoma Developmental Center, which we were talking about earlier, was just shut down and sold off. Because in California, we have beautiful institutions like this one. 180 developed acres, 765 acres of natural space, and 945 total acres. Beautiful institution. Nothing wrong with it. I talked to the person who represented California in the cell. He said it was turnkey and they're going to tear it down to build high density housing. So mental health requires a response. Our healthcare has been under attack. Number one cause of bankruptcy in America, 652,000 bankruptcies every year, 66.5% of all bankruptcies, and we subsidize countries who have universal health care. I'm tired of it. California taxpayers pay 71% of all health care costs in California. The FDA is a pay-to-play scheme. We need to evict the FDA from California. And in order to do that, it would allow Californians to fight for their lives in a method of their choosing. We should not have to go to Mexico to fight for our lives. We should not have to go to Mexico to afford teeth or to afford vision. It pisses me off, you guys, being in California, the richest state and the richest country on earth, where if you have enough money, you can afford to have teeth. Or if you have enough money, you can afford to see. Are you kidding me? I think we could do better. So I want to evict the FDA from California, allow patients to fight for their lives, establish a single payer system for all traditional care, but also allow the snake oil salesman to sell snake oil. If we find a snake oil that cures cancer, holy smokes, it sounds like it's worth it to me. We need to get rid of the California Fair Plan. We can talk about this more, but California is a water abundant state. We need to start fighting fires in a way that props up California, not destroys the land when it happens. And that's going to require development and redevelopment, an investment in our California state parks. I think that we need to redevelop 8 cities. We need to build 5 new cities. We need to bring 4 cities into the 4D, and we need to have 3 capitals in the state of California, 2 supporting capitals, 1 major capital, so that people feel like they have access to their government and government's further decentralized. The 5 new cities, we're going to go over these really quickly. In Santa Barbara, in Santa Barbara County, we need to have a new beach town in Southern California. It's lush land, there's plenty of water, and we need to build it about 30 miles away from Vandenberg Space Force Base, right outside of Santa Barbara. In fact, Santa Barbara City and the Chumash tribe want development. There's no reason why we shouldn't be building. The city of Thomas will be a new farming town, a new agrarian community in the Central Valley, where we can reallocate water right along the Sacramento River to expand and get more people into small and mid-level farming. The city of Abraham will be a new coastal town along the Forgotten Coast near Cape Town. The city of Alice will be a place where in California we lax homesteading laws. We make it possible for people to have a homestead, to have a family compound in California without leaving California. And that's my projected place right there. I think it, plenty of water. And then finally, the city of Solomon in Sonoma County. Guys, imagine Venice, Italy meets Dubai in the San Pablo Bay. In Sonoma, right over Skag Island Naval Base. We can build this city with the Seasteading Institute, and we could bring about 4D living in Solomon, Oakland, San Francisco, and in San Jose. And wouldn't it be wonderful to have a city opposite San Francisco called Solomon that's built as a tribute from the ground up? And so we're going to redevelop some cities. I put some cities in here. You could look at these later. Washington, California, in Nevada County. Stones Landing, California, in Lassen County. Trinidad, California, in Humboldt County. Crescent City, Del Norte, in Del Norte County. I want to have a new tri-city area in Northern California, in the far north. California City in Kern County. The Salton Sea in Imperial County. Mountain House in San Joaquin County, and Utopia City outside of Solano County. All of 8 cities are right here on this map. And then having 4D living to bring us into the futures. The future that was imagined in the Jetsons is here. We just need to actualize it in the Bay Area. The three capitals that I suggest, I believe that we should have Sacramento, we should also have Redding, and then we should have Los Angeles, so that in Southern California and in the far north, we get an opportunity to have access to our government. The Assembly and the Senate should have sessions in alternating cities. We allow digital access and blockchain voting, because in Congress, 11%, 11.1% to 19.4% of the time, our representatives miss their vote. We need to put an end to that. And we need to widen the executive reach for access to better representation. So my new plan in total looks like this. With Redding, Sacramento, and Los Angeles, giving some people to anchor into government. Now, I know that people will want to invest in California the same way that people wanted to invest in Libya. When Libya developed the dinar with a gold-backed currency, people are going to want to invest in something that looks like it's actually building. And we should welcome investment and foreign investment, but not foreign ownership. Any upcoming business, country, or currency attracts foreign money. You allow foreign investment under reasonable guidelines through investment notes and purchase through California gold to be paid off at close of escrow. Now, here are some development companies. I want to eliminate restrictions for individuals, create alternative housing. Right now, they're creating housing in a box, guys. They're shipping housing through Amazon, through Walmart, through Tesla. And the gifts are in the shift. I want the people to get that opportunity. Strengthen small to mid-level development, strengthen individual developers, bring real estate into the 4D, because drones, flying cars, vertical cities, and vertical infrastructure aren't going anywhere. And then strengthen our executive branch here in California, which I talked a little bit more about that in this presentation here. We need a good governor, yes. But guys, there's a mentality amongst one of my opponents that only he can save us. Governor Newsom did not run this state by himself. One man cannot save this state by himself. We need a good governor, a lieutenant governor, a secretary of state, a treasurer, a controller, a superintendent of public instruction, an insurance commissioner, and an attorney general. Government is designed to work as a unit, a team, or a business. We need to have audits led by our state controller. I would love for Jack Guerrero to run. We need to prosecute those findings by our attorney general, and we need to have better systems and better transparency by our secretary of state, and better investments by our treasurer. I already have a presentation about that. I won't go into it more tonight, but I want to eliminate waste, fraud, abuse, corruption, and redundancy. Those are separate things. Redundancy is not prosecutable, but we need to cut it out. Now, we are rich, guys. Do you believe me now?
Yes.
When I told you that we were rich an hour ago, did you believe me?
No.
Do you believe me now?
Yes.
Good, then I've done my job. The best thing for America is a strong California. America needs to balance her books. And now I'm going to go through my contract, but I'm going to do it very quickly because you can look through this on your own time. I have the link up here, but it goes through it very quickly. California first and Californians first. Do you agree?
Yes.
We need to have law and order, and we need to revive our Main Street. Do you agree?
Yes.
We need to focus on mental health and drug rehabilitation. Do you agree?
Yes.
We should build 5 new cities and 2.5 million new homes. Do you agree?
Yes.
A couple of you agree. Some of you are like, don't develop. That's understandable. I don't want to build high-density housing. I don't want to build high-density housing in your backyard. That's not what I'm interested in. I want to build new cities. Because when people talk about the American dream, it's not a condo. It's not a little piece of land. It's a place for them to raise their family. But we need to build more starter homes, and we need to build more end-of-life homes. We need more 1,400 square foot to 1,800 square foot homes, and that's what I want to see built in these new cities. Okay, I found us. Okay, we're back, guys. We did it. I believe that we need to audit California, we need to invest in California, and we need to grow California. Do you agree?
Yes.
I believe that you shouldn't be soaked for additional tax revenue, that you should be being paid like owners through the Golden State dividend. Do you agree?
Yes.
That's pretty good for a room of Republicans. I believe that we need to lower cost of living. You agree?
Yes.
I believe we need to bring back a made in California agenda. Fair enough? I believe that we need to be an exporter of water and energy and product and not an importer. Do you agree? I believe that our children should have an opportunity to go to school wherever they want to, just like our college students who are veterans do through a GI Bill program, which is what Milton Friedman came up with. Let's give our children school choice. Do you believe our children deserve school choice? Yes. Fantastic. Do you want to strengthen the California State Guard as a place for us to volunteer? Yes. Do you want to build more California state parks, more land, and more lakes and rivers for us to have access to? Yes. Do you want to protect our border and restore the middle class? Yes. Do you want to care for the Californians who need the most help with hunger, adoption, childcare, homelessness, drug trafficking, and human trafficking?
Yes.
Do you believe that we need to be in charge of artificial intelligence and artificial intelligence does not need to be in control of us? Yes. Do you believe that we need to cut taxes and defund the federal government? Yes. And do you believe that we need to focus on states' rights and restore our republic? Yes. Then heavens to Betsy, we are in alignment. My name is David Serpa. I am an author, I'm a combat veteran, I'm a father of 5 in our family. I'm a husband to my wonderful wife, Katie Serpa, who's put up with so much of this. I'm a revolutionary, and she knows I'm a revolutionary. I'm willing to die for it. I'm willing to live for it. I've sacrificed days and times and hours and evenings and Friday night movie nights and games and scouting outages. Guys, I'm not beyond it. My kids aren't launched. I'm fighting here with you while I'm sacrificing so much that is sacred to me. I don't need to do this for an ego trip. I want to change the dialogue that we are having, the narrative that we are having, and it's going to require revolutionaries. It's going to require that you're willing to die for it, because if you're not willing to die for it, you're hourly and you should go do something else. That's the end of my presentation. I'm so grateful for your time. Thank you all so much for giving me so much of your time on this Friday night. Appreciate you.